All right, we're heading to one of our projects today. We're gonna go check out a deal that I bought about a week and a half ago. Not one that I've shown on here. Purchase price was $150,000. I'm gonna walk you guys through the numbers. We pretty much got our rehab down on what we expect to spend on it. But in the meantime, seems like you guys like my mindset shifts and perspectives. How I grew up has allowed me to think how I do and make a little bit more wise decisions. I still make stupid decisions. Like, for example, the stupidest thing I've ever spent my money on was a 1977 step-side C10 Chevy. I was paid $16,000 cash for it like 2-3 years ago. I don't really blow money, but that was definitely a blow money type of moment. It was pretty stupid of me. My brother invited me to an auction. It was Friday night. He said, hey, I'm going to this auction, heavy equipment auction tomorrow. You want to come? I don't go to auctions. I've never bid at an auction. And so I went to this auction, and there was this beautiful 1977 Chevy step-side. I don't know much about old vehicles. I've bought and sold vehicles before in high school. Used vehicles, but not like old classic cars. So don't know what got into me. But for some reason, I thought if I could get that for $16,000, that it was going to be a good deal. And so within like 15 minutes, it was the first thing that bid it up, won it, paid $16,000 for it. And then I didn't do shit with it for like 2 years. It just sat. I'm too busy. I didn't have time. I mean, it ran, but I didn't have time to really like do anything with it. So 2 weeks ago, I finally bit the bullet, took it to an auction. I ended up getting $15,500 out of it, but I lost like $3 or $4 grand because I've had it the last couple years. I paid a couple grand to have it worked on, the AC and stuff, and then I had to pay 10% when I sold it. I had to pay $500 whenever I ran it through the auction. All that to say that I'm glad that I made that decision, because at the time I was 21 and I had $250,000 cash in the bank, and I lived in an $80,000 house. And so I was making $25,000 to $30,000 a month, pretty much total cash flow in my pocket. And so I was glad that I bought, in comparison. I mean, it was stupid. I paid $16,000 for it. That's a large chunk of money. But in comparison to how much money I had and what I was making, I could have been real stupid and bought like a Corvette or, whatever, the younger guys, a Rolex, anything like that. Not that I'm dissing on anybody that has that type of stuff, but you guys, obviously, if you've watched my videos, you see my newest thing has been like these fishing shirts, but I'm not real fancy. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I am who I am at the end of the day. But all that to say, after I bought that, I was like, you know what? I don't really care about this thing. I don't care to buy fancy stuff. I didn't have a passion for it. My passion is in like fishing. I like to fish. This is my buddy Didi. Well, I'll call him back. But so anyways, I made that decision, and it has stuck with me not to buy stupid shit, is really what it boils down to. And I know I have a lot of younger dudes watching me. Not that I'm not ever really trying to give unsolicited advice. A lot of this stuff is just remembering what I know and making sure that I don't make those decisions again. And so that had sat with me. I've not bought anything stupid since. After that, I was like, I'm just buying real estate. 2 things I spend money on. 3 things, really. Real estate, my family / my animals, and vacations. I have no problem spending a lot of money on vacations because that's something that I enjoy the experience. I enjoy being able to bring my family out. We go to Hawaii pretty much every year. That's been a luxury that I've been able to afford. We go to the Keys, and I like vacations, and I like spending money on it. And a lot of my older buds have never regretted spending money on vacations. And so for me, that makes sense. In the beginning, when I wasn't making that much money, we go to like Destin, and there were a couple times I think we drove out there. And so you can vacation pretty affordably. Nowadays, thankfully, I've got the luxury where we can go a little bit more out with it. My family, my animals, but when it comes to I think about motivation a lot. And a lot of people ask me, like, why do you do what you do? I mean, technically on paper, I could stop working for the rest of the year. I have enough cash to be able to do that. I could set my business up in a way, now it would not do well, but I could set my business up in a way where I could just stop working for at least the rest of the year. I couldn't do it forever. At some point I'd have to come back and work some more. But I think about it in terms of motivation, of intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation. And there's a lot of people that are intrinsically motivated. Like me, I would consider myself intrinsically motivated. And there's a lot of people that are extrinsically motivated. Number one, I love what I do. I love to fish, but I can't fish for all year, you know. I like hanging out, I like the beach, I like stuff like that, but I can't do that all the time. I would lose my love for it probably. And outside of that, I enjoy working. I enjoy making a difference. I enjoy buying houses. And quite honestly, I get a little bit of a rush out of it. I don't gamble. I wouldn't say buying houses is a gamble, but it kind of is, you know. And so that's one of the reasons. And the second reason is I'm going for more than just money at this point. You know, it's like, it's cool to be able to make an impact. Of course, the money is a big piece of it. I enjoy making money. I think everybody that kind of does what I do hopefully does it for the money, but there are other pieces that I enjoy as well. And so that's intrinsic motivation. Now, through that, I'm able to have a nice house. I've got a pretty nice truck. I could go buy a nicer truck, but it's kind of stupid. They're not that much nicer, you know, for the money that it costs. I could go buy a little bit bigger house, but at the end of the day, your baseline resets. Like, it's not like I'm that much happier living in my bigger house today than I was living in my little $80,000 house. We just kind of outgrew that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that if you're working just to go buy a Rolex, for example, or you're working, you're like, all I want is a Corvette. That's really cool. You're gonna be really excited for a certain amount of time, and then your baseline will reset to where that's normal. That's why when you look at rich people, like, you're either happy or you're not, but they don't seem that much happier than other people. And it's because if you weren't happy before, you're not gonna be happy after you're wealthy. Or if you were happy before, you're gonna be happy after you're wealthy. It seems like money, from what I've experienced, is just amplifies who you are. If you're an asshole before, you're just gonna be an asshole after having money, just a bigger asshole probably. And so I think about that when I wanna go purchase something or I wanna go buy something. I think, is this going to make me happy for a long amount of time or a short amount of time? If I go buy a new truck, I'm gonna have a dopamine hit and I'm going to be happy for maybe a month, 2 months, and then over time it's gonna wear off and it's just gonna feel like my truck. And so once I understood that concept, it was like, you know what? What truly makes me happy is being able to buy houses and make a larger impact for my future self and my family in the future. And so that's what I enjoy doing now. And that's why I point out, like, the intrinsic motivation versus the extrinsic motivation. Because I think that nowadays with social media, there is a little bit of a problem with people flashing their Rolexes and their Corvettes and their Lamborghinis. And I mean, realistically, I could go buy those. It would be absolutely stupid for me to buy those, but I could go buy those. I could buy them cash if I wanted. It would be the worst decision I've ever made in my life. So I'm not going to, and I'm not trying to impress anybody. And for some people, they enjoy having nice cars, and if that's your passion, then I say go for it. You know, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's all you're going for, you may not be as happy as you think you will be when you get to that point. So you have to figure out what that intrinsic motivation is. At a certain point in my life, I came, from not really anything. Grew up, my mom had money from selling illegal stuff, and then we didn't have money and she went to prison. And all I wanted to do was make $10,000 a month. And when I made that $10,000 in a month, my life didn't change. And that's when I realized that I needed to change my perspective from just wanting to hit that goal to being intrinsically motivated. And it just comes from maturing, and I'm still maturing. I'm still a young dude. But these are just like some mindset shifts that I've learned. So anyways, all that to say, I would figure out what that intrinsic motivation looks like for you, Because if you're just striving for your first rental property and you're like, when I hit this point, I'm gonna be happy. I'm not saying that it's going to be this way, but there's a likelihood that that's not gonna fill you up inside. And so at the end of the day, I know I've got my family, I've got people around me that make a difference, and I have my hobbies. I like to fish, I like to work out, I like to do stuff like that. And so you can't be focused just on the money or else it won't come. I've found that when I let go a little bit and when I just don't care as much, I end up making more money. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. It seems like the money just gravitates to me because I'm not necessarily motivated. I'm not motivated to have to get a deal done. If I have a client that is freaking out on me, and I'm like, okay, well, just don't sell the house. Doesn't affect me. My life's not gonna change. And that calms people down. Whenever they realize that they can't get a rise out of you, that calms them down because that's what they're expecting. Anyways, getting a little off course. But the intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, that's been a huge deal for me in my life as I grow. Another thing is, and I was talking to somebody this morning, but there's like a fine line between learning too much and never taking action and not learning enough and taking too much action. And so you need to be careful about that. I try to be cognizant about that because I don't want to learn too much and never take the action, which I haven't. You know, I've obviously bought houses. I've done what I've wanted to do, and I'm continuing to do what I want to do. But there's also a fine line between learning too much and not taking action. And so you got to figure out what that balance is. You want to know what you're doing, but at the end of the day, you don't want to just sit and get analysis paralysis and never go after it. A lot of people are scared to fail nowadays. And that's one reason why a lot of people never post on social media. The haters will come. I get them in my videos. They don't really offend me. I think it's good for the algorithm personally. So every comment I get, I'm like, you know what, cool. But you've got to be okay with failing a little bit if you want to grow. And looking back on my past, every failure that I've ever had, good, bad, ugly, has turned out to be a net positive in my life. It's turned out to be a good thing because I either learned from it, what not to do, what to do. I paid a guy too much, he never did the work. Now I learned not to do that, you know, and so I had to learn the hard way. Or, I mean, that's typically what it is it's a learning lesson. So when you're going through those and you see something as a failure, think about it in a long enough time horizon. Like, will this be a failure looking back 5 years from now? No, it probably won't be because I learned from it. As long as nobody's dead, as long as everybody's safe, it's probably gonna work out at the end of the day. We just pulled up to this house here. We're gonna go in here, check this out. We started this rehab last week. And anyways, let's jump out, let's check it out. I haven't seen it. We haven't really done any work inside other than the demo, but so bought this last week. This deal came to me from a client of mine that I've done a deal with. His mom needed to sell. This was his mom's house. So I get asked a lot, where do my deals come from? That's where this deal came from. I was direct to seller. I came out here and we locked it up. But it's on a nice corner lot here in town, 150,000 purchase, 230 to 240,000 ARV, kind of depending on where it lands. I've sold a couple houses in this neighborhood. I know the area well. Let's check it out and see what we're working with. I'll mention this in a few of my past videos. That's 30-yard dumpster. We typically pay $467 for 30-yard. Not sponsored by Junk Frog. So until they sponsor me, use whoever you want. Just kidding. But so anyways, in here, the reason why I like this property is the siding was just redone last year and the roof was redone last year. So we have two big ticket items that we're taking care of. The plumbing is going to be an issue, which we'll get into that here in a second. And we need a new condenser on the exterior. So anyways, let's check it out. What's up, y'all?
Oh, another wonderful day.
Oh, nice.
Fun.
Hope you guys don't mind. We're doing a little recording. Are you guys with Andres? Oh, no, you guys are with Josh.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yes, sir. Okay, cool. Is Josh here?
No, he went to go bid a job.
Oh, he left you guys.
We got this one line left right here, and we're done.
What you think about polybutylene? You like it?
Absolutely hate it.
So we'll get into the plumbing here in a second. But well, we appreciate you guys getting it done. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's bad. Are they working on the condenser out there? Okay, so this is a 4-bed, 2-bath. This was actually added onto, and I figured that out because I looked at the county records. We've got the primary bedroom here. We've got the primary bathroom here, which we're gonna rework this. So we were gonna push this over. Oh, it's 3-bath, you're right. Thank you. See, I don't even know my own properties. They do at least. So we're gonna wall this in here. This is gonna be our closet. We were gonna push this wall over, but this is, sometimes I'll show you guys this. Obviously weren't taking into account that we had our plumbing stack here. So we're not gonna push that wall anymore. We're just gonna do a door straight in. Now, something to look for when people say the plumbing's been updated, when you're at a property and the seller says, hey, the plumbing's been updated. I've mentioned this before, but once again, you have your supply lines. These little lines here, this is called PEX. This is what you want. This is what everybody uses as supply lines in their plumbing. It's usually white, blue, or red. You're gonna see a couple things. You're gonna see PEX, or you're gonna see copper lines, which were really common before, like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. Or you're gonna see polybutylene, which is the worst thing to see. And that's what we had in this house, and that's why we got the plumbers here. They're redoing the plumbing. I'm not going to screw somebody else in the future. I don't want to not replace the poly. I know poly's horrible. I wouldn't want it in my house. And so that's why we decided we're gonna go ahead and replace this. I also don't want issues when we get into inspections, you know? It just kind of gives a sour taste. So you've got your supply lines, and then you've got your drain lines. This is a drain stack here. This is PVC. That's what you want to see. Sometimes you'll see cast iron. Don't want to see cast iron, ideally, because cast iron corrodes from the inside and it goes bad. And so if you do see cast iron, make sure you have the sewer line scoped, because the last thing you want to do is go in here and put new flooring in, and these drain lines are under the slab because this is a slab property, and then you have to go bust up the floor. Thankfully, I've never had to do that, but I do know people that have. Anyways, we're gonna do vanity here, probably 60-inch vanity, because this wall wasn't big enough. And then we're just gonna do a stand-up shower in here. We've already demoed this out. We got the new supply lines ran, and then we're gonna do toilet. Pretty simple. Frame this up, texture it, put some fixtures in. You can see we've got the Romex ran, so we're good to go. I'm always looking at windows. Once again, these windows aren't new, but they'll do. I think these are actually, can't tell. Sometimes these white windows, they're typically aluminum, but I think these actually might be, or they're typically vinyl, but they might be aluminum in this case. Either way, the seal hasn't been broken in most of them. We're gonna replace the ones where the seal's broken, but if the seal's not broken, we're gonna keep them. So we're gonna paint the entire interior. We've got our ducts in here. You can see they're just really dirty. I don't think any of them have collapsed. So we're just gonna come through, we'll do nice duct cleaning, get that taken care of. We're laying luxury vinyl plank all through here, which, by the way, Logan, just so we don't forget, we're not laying this. We're not gonna use this anymore. We've used this in a few of our other projects, but I just did not like it. It was, I mean, I guess it's bendable, but I don't know. It's not very thick, and it's not very nice stuff. It's not horrible, but I want to get away from using that. That is vinyl, though. All the cabinets are in good shape. We're keeping the cabinets. We're gonna paint the cabinets, backsplash, knobs and pulls, nothing crazy. This is definitely not the island. Well, I guess that is the island that we had in here. So I think we're gonna try and keep this island and actually just secure it. It's not secured right now, but secure it into the floor. Let's go roll through here. So this is how I knew this house was polybutylene. Oh, you can't see it anymore. You see this gray pipe right here? This hopefully will save a couple people a couple $1,000 in the future. But you see this gray pipe, be very careful, that's poly. So I actually closed on the property, and then we opened this up, and I was like, oh shit, because I know what poly is, but I didn't notice it when I bought it. That's on me. I got a little lazy. I haven't done inspections. Thankfully, the guy, my client that referred the gal that we bought the house from is a plumber, so they knocked it out for us. So All new supply lines through here. We got our drain stack. We're gonna rip in new shower, drop in a tub, drop in a vanity, and then a few light fixtures. This is super simple. We got under the stairwell. We need to rip this flooring out. For some reason it hasn't been ripped out. Let me show you guys what the difference between vinyl and vinyl flooring and laminate flooring. This is laminate flooring right here. So let's see if I can get this up. Okay. So a lot of people think laminate's nicer because it's like, oh, it's so thick, you know? But it's pretty much just particle board. And so what happens is if people have, especially if you're installing this in rentals, if people have dogs, their dogs pee on it, poop on it, it ends up swelling up. You can see these joints. All of these joints will swell up like this. Yeah, like right here. And it lasts like maybe a year or 2 years. It goes bad really quickly. It's just a really cheap product. I'd never use it. I've used it in the past. I would never use it again. This is laminate here. So you can see this is waterproof, much nicer material. Doesn't go bad. It's a little bit more expensive to buy, but don't trust Lowe's. Lowe's is gonna say you buy this for $1 a foot. Go to Floor & Decor, or you can go to Lowe's. Sometimes you get a good deal. $1.50 a foot, you can get laminate. So in here, once again, we're gonna rip all this out, all this flooring, rip in some light fixtures, some new trim, paint it, be good to go. Go out back real quick. What's up?
What's going on?
You guys with Jeremiah's?
Yes.
Ah, hell yeah, on camera.
Oh.
You guys are on top of it.
Yeah.
Did you guys just come from Choctaw?
Yeah, we're right here in Choctaw.
Yeah, you guys did our other job.
Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
house is ready as well too.
Are you guys gonna be able to fix this thing?
Jeremiah said you needed a new condenser.
Yeah.
No.
I thought you guys were gonna try and fix it. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, man. No, it's basically that pole. You have two poles, and this little thing broke off, burnt off.
Yeah?
So it was getting power, but it wasn't making the full connection to go through to start up that.
So you think this thing will work?
We tested it right now. It turned on and everything.
Dang.
So, but
Okay.
we gotta wash it, but I guess they're doing the plumbing right now.
Oh yeah. So
We
you
need
can't watch
water
it.
to wash
So you think we can keep this thing?
Well, we're gonna test it right now. We
Yeah,
just contact
okay.
it, see how the pressure's looking and all that. So we'll
Hey, that's awesome. I love that.
check it out, my man.
All right, so we were gonna replace the condenser. We probably don't have to, it sounds like. Nothing really happening back here. We need to do some landscaping, clean this up. Other than that, it's good to go. So, yeah, we've got a little bit of soffit that we're either gonna have to paint or replace up there. And then we're gonna power wash all the siding before we list this. But exterior light, 125 bucks, we'll have that replaced. So for a condenser like that, if I'm gonna replace just a condenser, typically I'm gonna pay about $3,000, $3,500. In this case, I don't know if I'm gonna get away with keeping that condenser with the buyer that ends up buying this, but there's a few options. I can offer a home warranty, or worst case scenario, I can replace it. But I'm gonna end up paying a couple $100 to fix that versus having to replace it, which is a win in my book. Anytime I can save $3,000, I will.
There's still rings here too, I didn't know that.
Yeah, them Joe box, and this one I got left a lot. I got left.
We're following you up.
Okay. Well, don't be in no hurry.
This stairwell right here, we're gonna keep this, sand this down, and paint it. Laundry, paint, we've already got a recessed light up there that we dropped in. Yes, sir.
And behind that shower down there in that
Yeah.
hang there, there's some number 6 wire rolled up there. I don't know what it's for.
I saw that. It was like, it must be a light fixture or something.
No, that's 220 electric.
They got 220 running in there?
Yeah, it ain't never been used.
In the main shower?
Yeah, in that bedroom.
Do you think, it was there already? Like my guys didn't
Yeah,
run
it
it.
was already rolled up behind there.
So we just need to pull it out.
You just
That's
find
weird.
out where it goes to
Yeah.
the breaker box.
I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah, 'cause if somebody can turn it on short.
Yeah, for sure. So typically I like to resand these hardwood floors. This is original hardwood floor. You can resand this stuff and stain it. It's like $5 a square foot. So we're gonna rip in our LVP up here. We'll tile this 3rd bathroom. Oh, we're gonna do carpet, you're right. We are gonna do carpet up here. I wasn't paying attention to that. We're gonna do carpet in the downstairs bedrooms as well. But in here, we're gonna do some tile, rip in new vanity. For vanity, you know, I typically pay like $300 or $400. Light fixtures, $125. Tile, we're gonna pay $3 a foot typically. To tile a shower, I typically pay $1,200 to $1,500 labor only. And then, you know, another $600 to $800 for the materials, depending on what we put in. Pretty simple project. This is like my bread and butter right here. There isn't anything crazy happening. It's not a funky house. I don't like buying funky houses. Have a good day, brother. We're out of here. Have a good day.
You too, brother.
Thank you, sir. So, I don't like buying funky houses. I like stuff that sells. This is nice view. The only funkiness to this house here is it's got a small backyard, but the person that buys this is probably gonna be a little bit older. I don't care who buys it, but I'm assuming what I think my buyer will be is a little bit older, but you know, whoever comes in here and wants to pay me for it can have it. Doesn't matter to me. We're gonna go ahead and repaint this, make sure that this is touched up and secured, and then we've got some recessed lights that we're dropping in on the exterior. And then a whole lot of landscaping. For some reason, landscaping is always my last thought. When we're finishing the project, I'm like, shit, we gotta do the landscaping. And so I think, Logan, we need to get ahead on the landscaping on these, just so we're not waiting a week. The last thing you wanna do is finish a project and then you're waiting a week for the landscaping to be done. So, anyways, nothing crazy with this one by any means. Need to mow the yard. I don't want the city on my butt, so we'll get this thing mowed. But otherwise, we're just kind of rolling around checking out projects today. This one looks good. That's what I like to do on Fridays. Mondays and Fridays are when we're trying to get in the groove of checking all of our projects. And then we have our contractors send us photos throughout the week. But otherwise, it's pretty crazy right now. We've got anywhere from 20 people on projects or payroll or doing some sort of thing any day of the week, even weekends with certain people that we've got in our ecosystem. So it's pretty cool to see. That's, once again, talking about making an impact and being able to bring everybody up through doing these houses. Of course, at the forefront of my mind, I'm making money when I buy and sell these houses, but it's nice to feel good about making the money, you know? I'm bringing a house that was pretty rough and wasn't gonna go to an owner-occupant to market, to somebody that can move in here, a family, whoever moves in here. Once again, I don't care, but it's cool to see that. And then we impact the contractors in the process. We've got our title companies, our lenders. So I think I read something one time, here's our contractor behind us, read something one time that we touch like 34 people when you buy a house. And that's for me and anybody else buying houses. So it's pretty cool to see that. But today we're gonna go and head out. We got some payroll checks to cut, which sucks a little bit, but it's just part of the job. I think we're cutting $15,000 of labor checks today. And I gotta make sure that the money's in the right spot, so when they draw out those accounts, I don't go negative. And I heard you guys want to see some sort of system behind how I manage my money. I'll be coming out with that here in the next couple weeks, probably another whiteboard session or something. But if you guys like this video, added a little bit of value for you, if you could, drop me a comment, drop me a like, subscribe, all that helps. And I'll catch you guys on the next.